G'day guys and gal. You don't get to choose your name when you were born. It's up to the whim of an overly emotional mother whose hormones just got shotgunned to the moon, and a father who may want to go on this weird ego trip and name you after himself or his own dad, regardless of how outdated the name might be. No, your name doesn't do much to tell people about yourself, but nicknames are a whole nother story. It could be a fun play on your actual name, like Jono instead of John, or it could be something you are known for, like dipshit retard because you're an idiot. The Primarchs have amassed a number of impressive nicknames, from the Warhawk for the Khan all the way to the more derogatory Cyclops for Magnus, because, you know, he's lost an eye. Either way, each and every Primarch has earned at least one interesting nickname, and I reckon that's worth talking about. But before we nick those names, we've got to nick something else. There is only 24 hours left before the cosplay calendar, my magnum opus, is gone for good. For those that somehow don't know, I spent a shitload of money putting together a photo shoot with 5 models, 12 cosplays, and a digital artist who then expertly photoshopped each image into the setting of Battle Mace 40 million. I've had nothing but good feedback about each and every one of my shots, with my grandpa even buying one off me because, you know, why wouldn't you? Each shot is a nudie shot, but because it's so professional, it isn't seedy or trashy. The digital version is no longer for sale, so if you want to see massive tail milkers or perfectly symmetrical Necron Tartars, then you'll have to either pick up the A4 or A3 version. It really depends if you want to hang it up in the living room to flex on your guests, or if you just need to like discreetly put it in your bedside table. 24 hours, guys and gal. You don't want to die knowing what awaits you in this calendar. Trust me. Today we'll go over each of the Primarch's nicknames and how they got them. I won't be talking about their actual names if I can avoid it, purely focusing on the names they were given due to their various exploits and whatnot. Let's get into it. We'll go chronologically to make everyone's life easier. The Lion. See, his nickname is so synonymous with who he is that I don't even think to add L. Johnson at the end. His choice of nickname is obvious. If you were called the Lion, you'd definitely use that. L. Johnson means son of the forest, but nobody ever calls him that because, you know, the Lion literally trumps everything. Why was his first name Lion? Why the fuck not? He is also known as the First due to him being Lord of the First Legion, but once again, let's just call him the Lion. The second Primarch's nickname is Wally because nobody knows where the fuck he is. Fulgrim is up next, and his most common name is the Phoenician, or Phoenix, or whatever variant of that flaming mythological bird you want to use. This is for a few reasons. Firstly, his world of Chemos was a desolate shithole that was slowly but surely dying. However, when he arrived, he was able to improve the standard of living so much that eventually it became a paradise where people now had enough spare time for art. Pretty weird motivation for Fulgrim, but whatever works. As he rebirthed his world from the ashes, that applied the first Phoenix moniker. Then, when the Emperor's children's gene seed got AIDS and started dying, Fulgrim had to slowly rebuild his legion from the metaphorical ashes. This is where the Phoenician part comes from. The final, more meta reason is that Phoenicia was an ancient culture in real life that was famous for its production of a royal purple dye, as well as having some of the best artists. As the Emperor's children used to wear royal purple and look damn fucking sexy while doing it, this is likely the original inspiration. On the flip side, now we have the ugly, bitter Perturabo, the Lord of Iron. Not much creativity went into this one. He was the Lord of the Iron Warriors. Lord of Iron. Doesn't take a fucking genius. There are a few reasons, such as his will being unbreakable like iron, or the fact that he once shoved an iron dildo up his asshole, but it's pretty self-explanatory. His second nickname was the Hammer of Olympia, as when Olympia rose up against the Imperium, Perturabo crushed it, like a hammer. This could also come from the fact that when he was living on Olympia, he was his adoptive father's tool, his hammer, to crush his enemies with. Either way, he is from Olympia, he crushes shit, and uses a warhammer in combat, so you can really make up your own backstory for that one if you want. Next up we have Jagadai Khan, called the Khan, that basically means Lord in his own language / Mongolian. His actual cool nickname though is Warhawk, which sounds way more badass. I haven't been able to find an exact quote in the lore why he uses this nickname. However, a warhawk is generally considered to be the metaphorical opposite of a peace dove. They strive to engage and escalate war rather than seek peaceful options. Considering Jagadai curb stomped the shit out of his homeworld in order to bring it under his command, I can see why people would call him that, but I do feel like there is something in 40k lore that is more specific, which I just haven't been able to find yet, so if you know, let me know in the comments. Lehman Russ's nicknames have even less creativity than Perturabo's if you could believe it. Prepare yourself. Wolf King, the Wolf, the Great Wolf. You know, in case you forgot that he was the Primarch of the Space Wolves. Lehman was raised by wolves, so it's easy to imagine why the wolf or the Great Wolf come about. He also took command of his world, then his legion, so Wolf King is another obvious one. Fortunately, he does seem to have one non-fairy-like nickname, which is the Lord of Winter and War. Not bad, not bad. Very fitting, as his homeworld of Fenris is an ice world, blanketed in perpetual winter, and if there's one thing Lehman likes more than cum blasting a dog, it's war. Russ was never going to have the most sophisticated, hard to understand nicknames, and that's okay. Rogel Dawn isn't one for nicknames. He is a very straighty 180 dude who calls things for what they are. In saying that though, when the Emperor ordered him to return to Terra to be the Praetorian of mankind's original homeworld, people started calling him the Praetorian of Terra, or just the Praetorian for short. Praetorian was a term used in ancient Rome referring to imperial bodyguards. As the Emperor was around for ancient Rome, he would have nicked a few terms he liked and brought them into the 30th millennium, and I for one am glad he did. Praetorian is a dope nickname. He has a few other nicknames, such as the Vigilant, which also refers to his defensive nature, as well as the Unyielding One, due to his will being so unshakably powerful that Chaos didn't even try to corrupt him to their side, as well as the fact that he can bend the warp through sheer will. Conrad Curse is one of the few Primarchs who was actually named by the Emperor. The Emperor gave all the Primarchs a name, however he allowed most of them to maintain the name they were given on their home planet by their adoptive families. However, Conrad never had an adoptive family, hence he was never given a proper name. He simply landed on his world, spent a few years hiding from the rapists, then spent the next few years after skinning them alive and feeding them their own cocks. He was given the nickname the Night Haunter, as he would go out at night and haunt/brutally murder criminals. Unfortunately for the Crims, it was always night on their homeworld, so it was one big 24/7 massacre. Conrad preferred to be called the Night Haunter as he felt no real connection to the name the Emperor gave him, since he didn't really like the Emperor much and got given the name as an adult man. It's like when your mum remarries a dude when you're 30 and he wants you to call him dad, like, no mate, fuck off. To absolutely nobody's shock, Sanguinius' main nickname is the Angel, because he looks exactly like an angel. He also fights like an angel, acts like an angel, and yeah, very impressive that the Emperor was able to get people to be secular for a bit, considering his greatest general was a literal fucking angel. Any version of this nickname, Great Angel, Shining Angel, Angel of Death, are all applicable. He was also called the Brightest One, but yeah, nah. Ferris was called the Gorgon of Medusa, and whilst we could easily draw some connections to real life, such as how in Greek mythology Medusa was one of 3 Gorgons and just by gazing at her you would turn to stone, but the origin of the nickname in 40k is a lot simpler and bantier. Basically, Sanguinius had brought a metric fuckton of gems, sculptures and other artworks to the Imperial Palace, which Fulgrim got hyped about, but Ferris said it was a waste of their time and energy. Fulgrim laughs and called Ferris a terrible Gorgon, aka he called him a terribly fierce, frightening, repulsive woman. Now I don't think Fulgrim knew what the word meant, but he used it anyway. Ferris found it funny, so he adopted it. Ferris now finds it funny when people overanalyze his nickname, when the truth is much simpler. Well, at least he did until Fulgrim cut his head off. Angron hates his main nickname, that being the Red Angel, because Sanguinius is already the Angel and much better at being one. It doesn't help that Sanguinius' favourite colour is also red. People call him that, as all the Primarchs and Space Marines were often called the Emperor's Angels of Death, and considering that Angron always finished a battle covered head to toe in gore and blood, people started calling him that. His more preferred nickname is Lord of the Red Sands, which he earned during his time as a slave gladiator. The name refers to the red sand of his homeworld and the fact that he dabbed on all his enemies. Unfortunately, that nickname is also a slap in the face, as Angron was the only Primarch to fail in his quest to conquer his own homeworld. Dude just can't catch a break. A number of Guilliman's nicknames lacked a bit of creativity, but they still sound badass. Lord of Ultramar being first and foremost, as he was, you guessed it, the Lord of Ultramar. He does have a shitload though, with some people even shortening his name and calling him Robu. The Avenging Sun is also a cool one, and actually has multiple sources. Firstly, he avenged the death of his adoptive father. Secondly, he got vengeance against the Word-Bearers and World Eaters that invaded Ultramar. Thirdly, he had nearly a full-strength legion during the Scouring, so the Ultramarines were getting the majority of the vengeance for the heresy done, and more recently, he is returned as the only loyalist Primarch, getting vengeance against the enemies of the Imperium in the name of his father. I do however believe that the main source of this nickname is specifically his vengeance against the Word-Bearers and World Eaters. In a funny turn, Conrad once called him the Avenging Bean Counter, because even the most deranged psycho in the galaxy likes to have a laugh here and there. Mortarion has a few cool nicknames, most of which are related to his obsession with using a scythe. The Reaper, Deathlord, Pale King, all of these suit him pretty well. The Reaper is obvious, Deathlord as well considering he was the Lord of the Death Guard. Pale King is a little more subtle, but it is common knowledge Mortarion didn't see a lot of sun in his time. Once he had fallen to Nurgle, people also started calling him the Prince of Decay. Once again, very suitable. Getting a little racist now, we have Magnus's nicknames. First up, the Crimson King in reference to his skin color. Then we have the Cyclops in reference to his physical disability. Another race one, we have Magnus the Red. He has a few more that reference his sorcerer powers, his one eye, and his skin, but those cover the majority. You would have thought with such a knowledge-seeking bright guy, he would have these deep, intricate nicknames, but no. Racism and disability shaming have prevailed on this day. 99% of people referred to Horus in one of two ways, either as Horus or as the War Master. When Horus was chosen as War Master by the Emperor, it was considered deeply shocking and disrespectful to call him anything except War Master, unless you were close with him. Many of his Astartes, especially when they were still the Lunar Wolves, called him Lupercal, which referenced the wolf culture of their heraldry. When the heresy broke out, the Loyalists started calling him the Arch-Traitor, as he was no longer their War Master. Lorgar wasn't one for nicknames, however he did have a few flattering ones. Firstly, there was the Urzian, which was his homeworld's word for wisest of the wise. Bit ironic considering what Lorgar's wisdom did to the galaxy. People would also call him Aurelian, as that was his last name. I'm pretty sure everyone has a mate that they call by their last name, so you'd expect at least one Primarch to follow a similar vibe. Fortunately, Vulcan's nicknames steer well clear of the colour of his skin, instead opting for dope shit such as the Lord of Drakes, the Unbound Flame, and other dragon or fire related stuff. This all stems from his legion's use of fire weapons, the volcanic nature of his homeworld, and the fact that his legion used to be called the Dragon Warriors. It's a good thing GW saw how the social trends were going, otherwise they would have to awkwardly retcon nicknames like Black Death or Chocolate Destroyer out of the setting. If I asked you to come up with a nickname for Corvus Corax, there's a good chance you'd come up with one that already exists. The Raven, Ravenlord, the Shadow Lord, all references to his Raven Guard Legion as well as his stealth capabilities. He does have a few others though, like the Deliverer and Liberator, since he led a slave uprising on his homeworld of Deliverance to liberate the people there. Alpharius Omegan's nicknames are all standard but still cool. The Hydra, referencing their legion's iconography, as well as the threefold serpent, which is, more or less a Hydra. But why Hydra? Well, with the Hydra, you cut off a head and two more grow in its spot. Same vibe with the Alpha Legion. You think you've killed Alpharius and boom, two more Alphariuses pop out of nowhere. They were also called the last Primarch due to them being the 20th Legion. They've also been stated to have the final configuration as a nickname, which, not gonna lie, I'm not sure where that comes from, so once again, if you know, chuck it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then buy that cosplay calendar. 23 hours and 45 minutes left since you've watched this video. You do not want to miss it. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more shit content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.